All right, guys, so today we're going to be continuing on with the Wolverine guide series, and in this video we're going to be talking about specializations. Which active traits are you going to be wanting to aim for, or which ones are the best ones, honestly, that I'm seeing, and then from what I've been hearing from other whales that are able to actually get these all the way to 10. What are they enjoying and how they have been putting these to the test? But this video is basically going to be a guide to show you which ones of these are actually worth kind of investing into. So we're gonna go ahead and just dive into it here. We have a couple of these that are already kind of, standing out than others. For example, this one right here is called the Swift Strike. This increases damage on a single target by, I have it at 9. It is at 18.9%, which I'm pretty sure is going to go up to 21. Oh, it's right there. So it goes up to 21%, but this is damage on a single target. This one right here is one of my, top ones, because this is going to be good for PvE when it comes to like bosses, and it's going to be good for PvP. So this one right here, without a doubt, is one that I definitely recommend. Now moving on to other ones here, I did have this one, Ultimate Weapon, but then again, I am still kind of debating on this. We'll come back to this if we need to, but it's not one of the best ones that I'm like, oh, you guys got to go in here and try to jump in there for. The next one we have here is the Ultimate Weapon. Becomes immortal for 2 seconds upon sustaining fatal damage, preventing HP from falling below 1%, and activates Hot Claws for 6 seconds. Now, this is at 0 out of 10. Keep that in mind, that when you increase this, it's gonna be way higher. The one that I've been hearing from whales who have been putting this to the test is that it's a must for PvP. Why? Because it stops you from getting one-shotted. So it's going to give you enough to like run away, and that in PvP is definitely a big thing. So when I'm building PvP for Wolverine, this one is the one that I want to have in my set. Okay, so this one right here, Berserker Rage, definitely it's one you want to look into. It's one that I will be adding. The next one we have here is called the Swift Strike. Using an Evolved Hunter class skill 3 times, recovers ultimate skill gauge by a certain percentage, because we're at level 3, so don't go off of this one. But what is this one really main for? So if you're someone that is wanting to get your ultimate faster, then you're gonna want to have the Swift Strike. The Swift Strike Animal Instinct active trait is definitely one that you're gonna want to think about, because this is going to increase decrease the time that it takes for your ultimate to fully recover. Though it says using an Evolved Hunter class skill 3 times. So there's only 2 skills that you can have in here in your set that are going to be Evolved Hunter. Now, Evolved Hunter are the ones that are iframe skills and do a good amount of damage. But so as long as you're using, every time you use them 3 times, there's no cooldown on here. Okay, so every time you use that skill 3 times, it increases, it recovers ultimate gauge by a certain percentage. So this one is another one you want to think about when you are building your Wolverine. So if you are somebody that is trying to get your ultimate fast, this one you might want to think about investing. Now we're gonna move on here. We're gonna go down to the Swift Strike X Factor. Now this one, in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, this one right here was something that I was like, hands down, I'm going to try to get this to 10. But then we started to realize that maybe it's not as good as we think, because even, let's just say, when your max HP recovery, which is at 200%, and this is the attack 100 per 1%. So the most you're gonna get is about 6,000 attack. That's only if your HP recovery is at max. So that's something you want to think about. I would put this in my I have this in my rotation in the equipped, but if I need to remove one and I have the other ones in here that I want to have, Swift Strike will probably be the one that I would remove and add something else. For example, look at this one over here. Using a target skill decreases the cooldown of Evolved Hunter class skill by 1.5%. So this one right here would honestly, at the towards the end game of if I have everything unlocked, and you know I don't really need this one, I wouldn't mind replacing this with the X Factor one, or replacing X Factor with Feral Focus, the one with the little mouse in it. So using a target skill decreases the cooldown of Evolved Hunter class skill. Now, I know some of you guys have a question like, what is targeting skill? So targeting skill is the first skill that you have, which let's go back here just to, you know, show you guys. This one is targeting skill. So this is the skill, and it's just this one. All right, so it's just this one because it targets the enemies. So that's so that right there is what it's talking about. Now we're gonna go back into it. So using a targeted skill decreases the cooldown of Evolved Hunter class skill by 1.5%, and it's at 0. So we're looking at how much does this go to? When you're maxed out, it goes up to 15%. Okay, so when you're doing a target, but it decreases the cooldown of Evolve Hunter by 15% when you're at max, right? But then there's 8 seconds cooldown. So honestly, I think that even though, yeah, it's 8 seconds, but by the time you're done with your rotation, it's going to be about 8 seconds, right? So this one, I really like the Swift Strike Feral Focus. This one is a really good one, especially if you are with like Eyes of Osiris gear or Sakaar gear, and you really want to get your evolve, because the cooldown for those skills are probably the highest, but they do the most damage. And if you can get them faster, oh, definitely, man, definitely. Let's kind of move up here. We have the healing boost. So the healing boost right here absorbs 1% of the damage of the active skills and the next skill as HP. Using a Swift Strike class skill recovers up to 50% of max HP per skill. This one, it seems like it's a good one, but not a lot of people are using it. And I haven't really been hearing like anything, you know, too crazy from whales that have been using it. So this one is still kind of like, we'll see how it does. But right now, it seems like people are, you know, and they have this one built, they've tested it, but I just don't hear them really talking about this one. So this one, something I just kind of want to put to the side for now. The next one we have here is Enhanced Endurance. Now, using a Swift Strike class skill increases short range damage reduction rate by 1.8% for 8 seconds. So this one it's definitely one that's going to keep you alive. And if you are not having a problem with staying alive, this one is something you don't want to really look for. And it seems like this one's only valuable for if you want to just stay alive. But if you're thinking about wanting to stay alive, you want to think about this one right here, because, you know, and if you're using Swift Strike skills, which I think we're all going to be using a mixture of all, you might want to think about adding this one. But this is not, I wouldn't put that as like one of the best active traits to add, because you can only put 4 in here. Okay, so you got to be, you know, which one do you want to invest in first? That's the real question. So we have Dead End here. This is decreases damage received by 2.2% when dodge gauge is at 1 or below. So let me read that again. Decreases damage received by 2.2% when dodge gauge is at 1 or below. This one, I mean, it looks good. It does. I just don't really see a lot of whales using this. And those are the ones where I get most of my information from. Like, hey, you're able to actually test this skill. What do you think about it and stuff like that? And I haven't really been hearing too much of whales talking about this one. So we're not going to include this one in our most top ones to go for. We have the using a dodge skill increases defense pierce by 3% and debuffs resistance by 1%. So this is kind of like Iron Man's armor penetration specialization, where if you're using if your defense pierce isn't maxed out, you're going to want to maybe think about this one for now. But then again, you know, towards the end, you're really not going to use this one because your defense pierce is going to be already at a high level. And this one right here, this one doesn't overcap. So this one is not, I wouldn't put this at the best ones to go for, because if you do get it right now, it's only going to be good for now, but once you're in your end game build, you won't need this anymore. So moving on to the down here, we got the ultimate weapon, exploiting weakness. Hitting an enemy whose guard gauge is at 50% or below increases guard damage by 10%. This one right here, I would put in one of the best categories, because if guard damage for Wolverine, it looks like maybe, it seems from what I'm seeing that you might be able to build a guard damage build where you can just do a whole bunch of guard damage, take down the guard really fast. But who's gonna be willing to go and do that, right? Because if it doesn't work out, you're gonna need to spend, first of all, it takes a lot of gold just to get him to be able to have a guard damage build. But then if it doesn't work out, that's a lot of more gold you're gonna have to use to get him back to where you wanted him before. So but this one's a good one. The reason why I'm saying this is that because if you're hitting an enemy whose guard gauge is at 50 or below, it increases guard damage by 10%. And this is at 0. This is at 0 and it's already increased by 10%. So that only shows you that it is, you're going to want to start focusing on this, because this is going to be very big when it comes down to like alliance raids, and when you're doing just bosses like battle challenge, and the bosses have just trying to, you could be able to break their guard down faster. I feel like this one right here would be a really good one. And in PvP, as long as your opponent, his guard gauge is at 50, you're going to be able to go in there and really do some damage. But this one I would put up there. I would put as, one that you want to definitely look into. This one right here, damage amplification, using adamantium class skill increases all damage dealt to supervillains by 3% regardless of the upper limit for 8 seconds. Now this one right here, guys, this one is really good. Why? Because at max it goes up to 30%. So that 3 right there, that 3% that you're seeing right here, it goes up to 30%. And this overcaps, guys, regardless of the upper limit. This will definitely, if you are trying to make a build for, do killing bosses in blitzes super fast or alliance raid, you want to have this one. This one is an S tier active trait for PvE purposes. PvE purposes only. If you're building PvP, don't even think about this one. But if you're building PvE, alliance raid, battle challenge, those hard levels, or blitzes and just melting the boss, this one right here is one that you're definitely gonna want to get, guys. It's definitely because at max it's at 30%. Whales are loving it. They're sending me videos. I mean, they're showing me clips of them just melting bosses when they're adding this. They're raving about this active trait. So definitely I'm excited to start building this one for like my PvE build. But let's see. And that seems like it's pretty much it. So kind of like to round it out for you guys, I said that this one right here is a stat that you definitely want, one of the best stats right here. We got the becomes immortal. This is a really good one for like PvP only. If it's PvE, I wouldn't get this one, but for PvP, this one is the Berserker Rage. Definitely, it's going to save you, trust me. We got this one, Evolved Hunter recovers ultimate skill gauge. So this one is really good only if you are wanting to get your ultimate faster. That's the only reason. If that is what you want, you definitely want to add this one in here. And then we've already talked about that I would prefer having in the end game, I would prefer having this Feral Focus over this one, because this one, even if I have at HP recovery at max 200%, it's only going to increase my attack by 6,000. So as much as like, yeah, that sounds good, but I would rather have something else, because after really looking into this, I wouldn't have invested that much. And I'm already at 8. So I'm definitely not going to go and try to get this higher. I'm definitely going to focus on other ones before this one. But yeah. So, and also the Feral Focus, using the target skill increases cooldown, Evolved Hunter. This is a really another good one, and that you're going to want to focus into. But yeah, guys, hopefully this video, guys, has helped you guys kind of understand the specializations and which ones right now whales are kind of using and loving. This is just to kind of show you the best active traits. Trust me, guys, I'm an expert at this. I went 5 years playing this game, never failed you guys on this, so trust me. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. All right. I know it, and I know it gets under some people's skin when I say that. But man, let me know what you guys think, guys. Let me know. For PvE, it's the specialization tree for Wolverine at the end of the day is very confusing. It's a confusing one because it looks like he's getting active traits from other heroes and they're putting on here, but it's not as good as, you know, Spider-Man's attack to, you know, from a certain percentage of his dodge turns to attack, and that's kind of reminds me of this one. But it seems like they just kind of copy and paste, but then they kind of make it worse for Wolverine. So it's a little weird, but there's some in here that are good. When it comes down to like skills, gear, those are more like, all right, yeah, definitely we know what good gear is for Wolverine, or we know what good skills. But when it came to specialization, it was a very confusing one, guys. This one took me a lot longer than I expected, because when talking to other whales, and it was just like, all right, because even they were having trouble with the specialization class. Like, it feels like if you're gonna be building PvP, you're gonna want to go for specializations for PvP, and then you want to go, and if you're building for PvE, you want to go, and you want to go for PvE specializations, right? And yeah, it sounds stupid when I say this, like, yeah, well, yeah, duh, and they know shit. But normally you'll be able to get specializations and build one where it will kind of where it works for PvP and PvE. But seems like you're gonna have like a completely different looking active traits list, because right here at 4, and it's gonna be all this is gonna look completely different for PvE, and then it's gonna look completely different for PvP. That's what it seems like for Wolverine. So yeah, especially I'm interested to see what other people think of a specialization, because I was actually having understanding and trying to testing, like, especially I spent way too much time on this one right here, and then realizing like, well, is this one really good? I don't know, you know, because at first I was like, hey, yeah, I want to get this, you know, and then whales are like, I'm seeing whales not really using this. And, you know, they're breaking it down for me, you know, because, you know, I like to think of myself as a smart guy, but I'm not that smart. But when they break it down to me, I'm like, okay, man, this is not actually what I thought it was going to be. It's still in my list because those are the ones that I only have active. But yeah, so hopefully, guys, let me know what you guys think of this video. Until then, guys, I'll catch you guys next time.